video game. So I actually haven't even touched the Metal Gear Solid single player since last week, but I did start playing a little bit with the multiplayer. Not very much. I think 1 or 2 nights of it, and not even, probably 2 hours all in all. But it's pretty cool. I mean, there's some weird lag issues, which I knew some people thought might be a problem, because if you run up and you try to grab someone, if the latency is just a little bit off, you end up being grabbed from like a distance. But I think I tried all the different modes. One is like pretty much a straight up death match, which with a cool little twist where basically the longer someone goes where they're killing other people without dying, the higher their bounty becomes. I think the mission style is called Bounty Hunter, and so then you get more points if you can take down, some unstoppable guy who's been like taking out everyone else. There's walker gears around, which is kind of cool to be able to move those around, because they're pretty powerful if someone's going right up front, but then you're pretty much naked from behind, so pretty easy to bring down. The leveling up system is kind of interesting because you start off with very little choice in weapons. I mean, you pick your class. You're either going to be an infiltrator, which is stealthy, a scout, which is like a sniper, that's kind of my style, or a, I forget what the other one is, but basically like going in guns blazing, which is not the way I play those games, which is why I don't end up playing online very much, Call of Duty or anything like that. So you don't start out with a very wide selection of items or weapons or anything like that, but I did get I got a kick out of a cloak and dagger mode, where basically there's 2 teams. One team all starts off in stealth, and they're going around the map trying to steal some discs, while the other team is basically just responsible for defending those discs and killing those guys. And of course they're all in stealth, but anytime someone gets caught or something, the stealth deactivates for a second. Plus, if you look closely, there's a bit of a shimmering effect, and you can kind of pick people out. So the most satisfying experience I've had in the game so far was I found a really good roof sniping point, and it happened to be like the same color as my camo, so I laid down on the roof and I was able to pick off like 8 different guys, all in camo coming through. So that was really satisfying. But it's interesting because I picked a sniper rifle, and I'm used to, in the normal game, a sniper rifle, you can like knock someone over with 1 shot. But I think the sniper rifle I have in there is actually automatic, and so it's like less powerful, and so, I do 1 shot and I expect the guy to go down, but I actually have to keep shooting. So anyway, it's tricky because there's a lot of really incredibly talented players in the online mode, and I'm sure there's some people cheating and that kind of thing too, which is always a bummer. But as I'm about to talk about Star Wars Battlefront, there's an interesting contrast to be noted between playing on PlayStation 3 versus PC. Playing Metal Gear Solid online on PS3, and I think that's only PlayStation 3 players. I don't even think it's PS3 and PS4 cross-platformy. But then Star Wars Battlefront, I've only played on my PC. It's a beta release, by the way, so it's totally free for now. I think it's going to cost $60 or $70 when it comes out, which is kind of strange because I don't think there's going to be a single-player game. So the fact that it's just multiplayer, it's like, most multiplayer things now are kind of going on a free-to-play model or something, at least cheaper than a AAA game expense. But anyway, leading into the Star Wars Battlefront discussion, there are PC gamers that have incredible rigs set up, because that's the great thing about PC is you can be totally custom. You can have a 4K monitor, you can have a gaming controller, you can have a high precision mouse with 50 buttons on it, or a specialized keyboard that's all ergonomic and has everything set up exactly the way you need it to. And that means that there are always going to be people that have an advantage playing on PC because they can spin a mouse around and precisely get a headshot in a quarter of a second, whereas other people, like me, playing on a normal mouse on a pretty normal keyboard, it takes me an extra half a second. So I got wrecked playing Battlefront on computer, but a few things about it. It was fun. Gorgeous maps. There's two maps right now. One is it's the Battle of Hoth, basically, and then the other one, which is that also a snow map? They might both be snow maps, is like a capture the pod kind of thing, which is a really cool, simple mode where basically you just have these pods kind of randomly falling down at different points of the map, and you try to capture it, and then once you've captured it, you try to defend it, and if you can keep it under your team's banner for a certain amount of time, then you have like actually captured it. And then, it just goes back and forth, red versus blue, or rebels versus stormtroopers, rebel versus imperial. And then, after a certain point, either the time runs out or one team has gotten enough to just straight out win. So that's been really fun. But yeah, that version is pretty straightforward. You know, I upgraded my guy enough to be able to get some different weapons. You know, again, as a natural kind of sniper in these kinds of games, it's nice to be able to find like a cool point where you can see someone really far away, and really satisfying when you can pick someone off from a distance like that. Unlike Metal Gear Solid, of course, there's no bullet drop with Star Wars laser blasters. So, or what are they called? Blaster rifles? I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've watched Star Wars, but really wonderful to see these graphics popping, and I mean, I might even say it looks more gorgeous than Metal Gear Solid, but I'd have to see more maps and see what else comes up. But you know, one of the coolest visuals that I've seen from the new Star Wars movie is the idea of, you know, Star Destroyers and X-Wings and TIE Fighters, like the wreckages of those on the planets. That's really striking, and so there's some of that going on in the game, and I think that's really cool. But the whole, you know, basic deathmatch thing with pods is really just an appetizer compared to the Battle of Hoth thing, which is incredibly complex but intuitive and fun, because again, it's on its surface pretty simple. You're the rebels trying to basically activate, you know, all your Y-wings and everything and bring down the AT&T walkers. Or AT-AT? Is it AT? It's not AT&T. AT-AT walkers? I guess I've always seen it in writing. I've never spoken it out loud. Liz is confirming for me that's AT-AT. And so yeah, you want to bring those down. You want to get your Y-wings out. You want to evacuate all the rebels. And if you're on the Imperial side, you want to get your AT-AT walkers in there. You want to destroy everything, and you want to kill all the rebels. So on the surface, you know, you're just a guy running around with your blasters or whatever. Some people randomly get to be Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader, so they get to play around with lightsabers. I did not get to have that experience yet. But also, and this is the really cool thing, is you find random points where, you know, you might get into like a laser turret or something like that, and you can use that. Or you can find points where you can get into a TIE fighter or an X-Wing or a snowspeeder, and then you just get to like fly around the map, and suddenly, you know, the whole scale of everything is different. Now, I'll say that it's not very fun to fly around in those things if you're using a mouse and a keyboard. That's when I want to use a game controller, and I tried using my PC game controller, but it's so much less precise than a mouse, and so as fun as it is to like fly around with that, and it feels more natural, you feel the disadvantage of everyone else using a mouse, which is why I think it's more fun to play games like this, online games on a console, because then you know that everyone is using exactly the same hardware with exactly the same controllers, so everyone's a little bit more on an even keel. But yeah, anyway, I just want to say that I'm glad it's free. I'm really excited to be playing it. It's on the EA Source Engine or something like that, which is really inconsistent. Like, I had to try to download it. I put it on my laptop. I haven't played it on the laptop yet, but I had to download it like 4 different times before it actually downloaded, and then it finished, and then I tried to launch it, and it wouldn't launch. It was crashing, and, you know, restarting my computer seemed to be okay. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I was doing for video games this week. Just samplings of both those things. And again, I'm not usually an online game player, but yeah, I think when I can find the time, I'll go back to them both. They're both very fun, and there's a nice motivation there for leveling up with the extra equipment and weapons you can get. I wish it happened a little faster, although I'm sure it would happen faster if I was a better player and ever made, like, you know, the top 3 on a given mission. But yeah, that's it for now. Video games.